No, I'm just going to start this video by saying the Montreal Canadiens are one win away from the Stanley Cup final. I'm 5 minutes removed right now from watching the Habs beat the Vegas Golden Knights on stream, and I cannot keep all this emotion inside myself. Hello, guys. Welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today we're going to be talking about the Montreal Canadiens, this Montreal Canadiens team, and if they are the best team right now in the NHL. Now, if you don't know, a few months back at the start of the season when the Montreal Canadiens were the #1 team in the league, I had a video saying, are the Canadiens the best team in the NHL? And that video did crazy well, but a lot of hate went that way, and it was pretty early. But now, with one game potentially left of the conference final, the question does have to be begged. Are the Montreal Canadiens the best team in the NHL? And will they win the Stanley Cup in 2021? Watch till the end for all of my predictions, all of my talk, and some opinions around the league in terms of their best team status. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you are new. We make daily hockey content on this channel and would love to have you. 60% of the people watching are not subscribed. So if you like the Habs, if you like hockey, this is the place to be. Now, if you're excited just like me, then of course this is also the place to be. But the Montreal Canadiens, I cannot stress this enough, are one game away, yes, one game away from the Stanley Cup final. When you compare this Montreal Canadiens team to what they were like in the second half, it is absolutely unbelievable. Now, the first half and the first month or so, Montreal looked dominant. They looked amazing and started off with such promise. That promise started to fade away as the team got a lot more sluggish, a lot less consistent. They fired Claude Julien, put in Ducharme, and we have now seen the results. But this Montreal team is different, ladies and gentlemen. They have been through so much. They have had 3 different head coaches this year and are still finding ways to win key games away from the Montreal Arena, away from the Bell Center. This Montreal Canadiens team is absolutely sensational. And the way they're playing, the way they are grinding is exactly how you win the playoffs. But especially with them just dominating the last couple of games, Game 4, which they lost, and Game 5, which they won by deciding fashion, I think Montreal does deserve to be in the conversation as the best team right now in the league. I mean, you see the competitiveness of the Islanders and the Lightning series, how close that series is in the Lightning, besides Game 5, not looking like a huge opponent for the New York Islanders to face. And the Vegas Golden Knights came into this series winning 4 straight against the then best team in the league, Colorado Avalanche. Now Vegas is looking like a team that doesn't even belong in this top 4, and the Montreal Canadiens are the team to make them feel that embarrassed. That is shocking, even as a person who's been following the Montreal Canadiens for pretty much the entire time I've been watching hockey. But you could just feel throughout that Game 5, and I don't know if it was just me, but you could feel in that Game 5 just how dominant of a team they had really become. It was a fantastic effort, and instead of going back and being the worst team after a great Game 4 where they lost and they were the better team, they went out, started off amazing, and kept pushing every single level. It was fantastic, and by the time it was all said and done, there really wasn't a player on the team that I think had a bad game. And just everything about Game 5 was sensational. But again, that play that we've seen in Game 5 isn't really special for the Montreal Canadiens. They've had games like that. They've had talent like that before in the playoffs. They've shown it before in the playoffs, and it's all just coming together. And again, they don't have the head coach who they brought in midway through this season as their head coach right now. He is on the COVID list in Ducharme, and he is not on the team. He is not even in Vegas right now. And this team is still finding ways to not just win games, but to dominate them. Dominate. It was a dominant win in Game 5. And now they go back to Game 6 in Montreal with the play they've had. This is a team that, if they're not the best team in the league, still deserves to be in this top 4, and we can pretty much all agree on that. I mean, I saw so many people, and maybe rightfully so at the time, saying the North Division was crap and no teams out of the North Division were any good. But Montreal, a team that many people expected in Vegas to maybe sweep or win in like 5 games, has come in and looked better than the Vegas Golden Knights. That is simply exceptional, and for a team that had the expectations they had to lose in the first round against the Toronto Maple Leafs, this is a pretty good year, I think, for the Habs. Now, we're going to look at some of the stats from Game 5 because I think this Game 5 was a huge indicator of the Montreal Canadiens' success in this playoffs, and I think a lot of the same patterns that we've seen for the playoffs when they have been successful have translated on to this Game 5 win. The first thing that I really see is the power play percentage. They had a 1 power play goal in this game out of 2 opportunities, but the Vegas Golden Knights were held without a power play goal again with 2 opportunities on their side. The Montreal Canadiens still, up to this point in the conference finals, have scored more goals shorthanded than they've allowed shorthanded goals. That stat to me is still crazy, and it still has not gone away. It's still been a thing. Some of the other things I want to point out as well are these scores, which I think are a big indicator of the spread of the Montreal Canadiens' successes so far in the playoffs. Kotkaniemi getting on the board, his 5th goal of the playoffs this year. Eric Staal getting on the board for the 2nd time as well. That one is by Suzuki and Toffoli. Just a crazy play where that duo just absolutely set up Staal perfectly. And then you have the Caufield goal, which was absolutely sensational. And I also forgot to mention that Nick Suzuki score. That was also pretty cool. But Caufield after Perry and Suzuki on the power play. Just an unbelievable pass by Corey Perry, and Caufield, who's been another huge part of this Montreal Canadiens playoff team, gets it done again. This guy has 10 points in 14 playoff games as a 20-year-old 5'7" winger. That, to me, is another thing that Montreal has had go their way. But Caufield, I think if we're just going by specific players, is really kind of just the pattern we've seen with Montreal this year, where it's not really expected that he would do too much in the playoffs. He might be maybe would have a couple of points here or there and do pretty decent, but he has looked ready for the playoffs. He has looked exceptionally good too. For, again, a 20-year-old to do that in any situation is astounding. And Caufield, even though he has been with some great players and has gotten some pretty good roles, I think is definitely worth noting. And of course, you got Nick Suzuki, who had himself maybe the best game of his career, I thought, in terms of the overall play. He has scored the last goal for the Montreal Canadiens, assisted by who else but Tyler Toffoli. Just an unreal effort by him tonight. Was exceptional. Ended up getting 3 points, I believe, on the night too, and it just keeps going for the Montreal Canadiens and Nick Suzuki. Just another fantastic game by the kid. But another key factor in Montreal's success so far has been that play style that's been so brutal for other teams, especially to face off against. But it's not really anything crazy. Montreal's not groundbreaking in their attack and in their discipline and in their overall game. It's simply just a matter of wanting it more than the opponents. I mean, you've seen it throughout this entire playoffs. Even players like Brendan Gallagher, who haven't really scored too much, have consistently just made life so miserable for the other team in terms of their puck attack, in terms of their transition ability, in terms of their speed, in terms of their tenacity. The tenacity, I think, is a huge word for this Montreal Canadiens playoff team. They have been so hard to play against, so tiring to play against. And Vegas, after, again, winning 4 straight against the Colorado Avalanche, they look tired. They look not motivated. They look like a completely different team. And this just scrappy, this underdog Montreal Canadiens team has done that. But again, looking back on the expectations after the first few weeks of the start of the season, Montreal was number 1 in the league in terms of the playoff, or in terms of regular season points percentage. They were a team that was fantastic to start out. And I think this team right now, this Montreal team we're seeing, is better than the start of this season's team. It's a more complete, it's a more fluid, it's a more chemistry-filled team. We're seeing that chemistry, though, from the start, fuel on this year's playoffs, and it's just been such a blissful adventure to watch. Montreal is a team that I think, even if it is Tampa on the other side of the Stanley Cup final, that series won't be easy for a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're going to go from a series from the New York Islanders, who already are a hard team to play against, to the Montreal Canadiens. They're going to be grinded down to an absolute pulp at the very least. And even if Montreal does not win the Cup this year, even if they go on to the Stanley Cup final and lose versus a team like the Islanders or the Tampa Bay Lightning, this is still a team that many had losing in the first round. And to be this dominant, to be this consistent, I think deserves some massive respect. And one thing is for sure, the future for the Montreal Canadiens, with guys like Suzuki and Caufield and all these guys, looks pretty amazing. But the future and the right now also is pretty great. But just at this current moment in the landscape of the NHL playoffs, if I had to choose one team as the best, most motivated, most just scrappy team in the playoffs right now, it would be the Montreal Canadiens. And I think there's a lot of different ways you can look at the best team in the league right now with the Stanley Cup winner not awarded yet. Tampa's a team that has a 3-2 series lead, and they're, I think, the Montreal Canadiens' biggest rival in terms of the best, most consistent, and best playing teams right now in the NHL. Vegas could have been that team. And going into the series, I thought Vegas would win in 6 games and look pretty good and have some trouble against Montreal, but eventually win. But Montreal has made this Vegas team that was so scary look like child's play. This is a Montreal Canadiens team that can do anything they put their mind to. And that's what makes it so exciting as a person rooting for the Habs and rooting for that underdog story. Montreal is a team right now that can really beat anybody. It's just a matter of fact of how much they want it. So far, they've wanted it every single series. And we'll see if they're able to continue that on to a 4th win in this series, if they're able to continue that on to the Stanley Cup final. If they face the Tampa Bay Lightning, it's going to be a very, very hard battle. Even if they were to lose versus Vegas, there's so much to be proud of. But this team is 1 win away from the Stanley Cup final and 1 win away from making some more Canadian history. And who knows if they end up winning the Stanley Cup. This is a team, though, that has so much riding on them, so much great play. And hey, a Stanley Cup final after the start we saw would be pretty fitting. But again, 3 different head coaches being down 3-1 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is not a team that gives up easily. And the Vegas Golden Knights have learned that the hard way. If it is Tampa in the Stanley Cup final, if Montreal does make it there, they better watch their butts because it's going to be one heck of a series. And just saying right now, even though I think Tampa wins, even if I'm counting out the Montreal Canadiens, they always have a chance, and even I wouldn't be surprised if they go on to win the 2021 Stanley Cup. Get Carey Price that ring, baby. Get him the Game 6 win in the series, and get him that Stanley Cup. So I'm going to leave this video on that note. Sorry if it was some rambling. It was rambling because I'm just excited about this Montreal Canadiens win, but it was absolutely huge, and let's see that continue, baby. If you are new, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell to be notified when we go live for the Habs, live streams during the playoffs, and when we go live with new videos as well. Make sure you comment down below, what do you think about this Montreal Canadiens team, and who do you see as the best team in the league right now? Do you see it being Montreal, Tampa, the Islanders, the Vegas Golden Knights? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you will, and make sure you share this video with your friends. If you got anybody that's a hockey fan, anybody that's a Habs fan out there that you know, make sure you share the channel with them and get the streams and the videos out there. Everybody's appreciated and great to have you guys in the Grav gang. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Go Habs, go, and goodbye.